Gonna donate it to me because I'm going bald.
Donate to Sneaks Kids.
Yeah, so that they
Just glue it to your forehead.
They can see what a man with hair looks like.
It's the Modus wig. When you wear it, you have to channel your inner Modus.
Bumps up your reading regrades.
It looks so good on there.
It does. That means I can read a whole ass book in a couple days. What?
I'm thinking about having
I'm gonna do like a real quick summary of this ending because I think the discussion needs to be like the whole book.
Yeah.
I'm here.
Hey.
We were watching a movie and I was gonna voice chat while watching the movie, and then I realized this particular movie is not probably good at that.
It's probably a bad movie. What is it?
Adult films.
Django Unchained.
Okay, it's not a bad movie, but
It's not a bad movie, but the language shouldn't be seen in the background of your stream. The fact you just
I appreciate that.
Don't worry about it. Yeah, let's. God, I had this stupid thing.
Wrong button. Hey, brother.
No, what? Oh, yeah, no, that's just the... Oh, shit. Let me see if I can pull OBS. What do you want? Stop poking at screens. Where's that cat? Hodunk? No. Modu. No, he thought Modius's name said Hodunk. Oh my god.
alrighty, P-Pops.
Alright.
Thanks for joining us.
Yep.
We got almost a full crew tonight. Almost. Canned and Tam Tam. Modus. P-Pops is the blue icon. It's
I'm
weird.
coming.
Steve is right next to me. We read the ending of Wolves of the Calla. All of the kind of mysterious things we've been waiting on finally came together. Before we get into it, I just want to go around and say, how did you like the ending? In as few words as possible.
No.
Tam Tam?
Was a little miffed.
I love it.
Okay, Modus?
Part 2.
Part 2.
Yep.
Steve, I think that echoes kind of what you were saying, right?
Yeah, it left me hanging, and it's kind of like...
I almost resubbed to Audible just to fucking get the next book so I didn't have to wait. I was like, fuck, never mind.
If you need it, just like message me and I'll send it to you in a private message.
I know. I figured I'd wait. It's
I mean, I
kinda
wouldn't
fun
do that
to
unless you, of course, paid for it yourself.
This kind of feels like, in some words, not too long, I'll say it feels like the jump between, books 3 and 4 a little bit. You know, there was that, there's no gap between these books in time.
Yeah.
So
I almost started Salem's Lot, too. I felt like what Steve said last time was a good time to maybe start Salem's Lot. I just didn't get around to it.
You can watch the TV show and get pretty much the same gist.
There's a TV show?
Of course, it was made into a miniseries in the 90s with Rob Lowe. It was not terrible.
Check it out.
It was pretty accurate until you get to the ending. We've heard about what happens to Father Callahan through his own words in this book, and it doesn't quite line up with that show. However, the basics are still there.
Are you okay, Odious?
I am.
What are you doing?
You look like that you almost unmounted there for a minute. You're like, hey.
He's on a yoga ball.
He is
Ah,
mounted.
He's definitely mounted.
I have nailed my face into a wall on one of those before. Them bitches hurt. Because my grandma was like, be careful. And I was like, I got it. And then whap, right into the fucking wall.
Hanging out.
Go lay down, Lucy.
All right, so we started off chapter 7, the wolves. We start off with a conversation between Roland and Benny Slightman, or sorry, Benjamin Slightman, Ben Slightman the Elder, where he's pretty much like, he expects Roland to kill him. There is a small conversation here I think is important where he talks to Benny and asks him, if you would have caught Jake spying on you, would you have killed him? And he answers honestly and says yes.
Oh. I didn't realize there was a background of my...
He answers honestly and
I'm
says
not-
yes.
Most likely.
Sorry.
And,
Full attention, Peepops.
and for whatever reason, Roland decides not to kill him. Can you explain why Roland didn't want to kill him after that?
He wanted it to come naturally, not by his hand.
Well, and the dude was straight up, you know.
He was
He wasn't-
honest.
Yeah, he wasn't trying to play any more plays.
But he also
I think
told him
Roland
that
saw that.
Jake's the reason why. Because if Roland killed his best friend's dad, that would be some serious issues. Moving forward, we actually get to the part where Roland's explaining the actual plan. He's not going to send the kids to the mine. He is in fact going to let them walk towards the mine, but then turn around and hide in the rice. As this is happening,
I think this part had thrown me off too, because like my brain didn't think anything. Like that was totally like, oh, okay, because I still thought like he was gonna still put them like in a cave somewhere nearby
right?
and shit.
Yes.
So like,
He kept them very close to him, pretty much right off the road where they were fighting. There was an issue though, as they were trying to get back down from the caves into the rice. One of the Tavery twins twists his leg and gets it stuck in a rock. It ends up breaking. There's an issue there where they have to kind of adapt the plan, which Roland does mention. Like, you know, most plans make it only a few steps in, and then it's all adaptation from there. When he explains what's going on, he tells them, shoot them in the thinking caps, and, you know, kind of thinks back to where they were, followed Shardik back to his little lair, and then killed the little robotic creatures that were part of his,
snakes.
yeah, there's a snake, a bat, a Tonka truck, I think you mentioned, a weasel or something. He remembered that because those guys also had little thinking caps on top of their heads. It was like a small radar dish. It's a communication dish. This is when the big reveal comes, where we learn that the wolves are actually
Robots.
Zombies. Oh, sorry.
which I wasn't too surprised about that part.
correct.
A little bit later on, when we get a little bit closer to it, I was surprised about how they described what they look like
Yes.
when they talk about it a little bit later
Yeah,
on.
there is a mixture of pop culture going on here. But I think it's important to also note that the wolves, the robots themselves, were riding robot horses. And there was a constant
horses.
mention of gray horses throughout the
Which
whole
meant-
thing.
Which is a
And
great
what
way to make sure they're all the same.
yes, and what really struck that as being important is, like, in no way would you ever get an entire herd of horses all the same color. So when they learned that they were all gray horses, it was kind of like, you know, for Roland, maybe, you know, 2 + 2 meant a little bit more than everybody else, but he kind of suspected then that it wasn't a natural occurrence, that they weren't natural, like horses. So from there, he kind of like deduced more and more. But I think one of the things that kind of clicked for me is that without their mask on, I imagined them as being Andy. They were just another model, or another version, another like clone of Andy. They're all Andys.
See, I can't get a mental image of what Andy looks like. I don't know if it's just the way that like my brain works or whatever. So like I still didn't even really have much of a mental image until what's his name mentions an idea of like a shape that like is familiar. I couldn't even figure out like what they might have looked like. Eddie, I think mentions it.
I mean, they don't have the same model number, but we can extrapolate that they're from the same people because the weapons and the sneeches have the same base plating as Andy, right?
Yes.
So
They've all got the Lemerc Foundry mark. It's
Yep.
just that he's a messenger. Many other functions, and they are probably just like base models. But it's like they're all from the same place. That's why Andy does what he does, is because he's part of the system.
So Andy's a messenger bot, but these are more combat bots.
You can think of them that way, yeah.
I think-
And go ahead.
I need to find it, but there's a bit where it just says they're bland. Like you take off the mask and it's not much left. It's just
Yeah. There's still
like the
metal
sleek
underneath
model.
Yeah, that's all I could think of. Was they needed to dress them up to look like something big and scary instead of just like robots. Because had they seen, they probably would have figured out it was easier to kill them at that point. Had they just saw like they were nothing more than like you guys were mentioning, like Indy or something, they would have just been like, okay, whatever. I'm not saying they wouldn't have been freaked out, but like to see something all dressed up and everything else, and seems impervious because the thing that knocks them out is covered up and everything.
Yeah, they were hiding the fact that they had like let's go ahead and describe them. Like they had Doctor Doom masks on, and they're using lightsabers, and they're throwing Harry Potter speeches.
Yeah, exactly.
So they're like an amalgamation of like other pop culture references.
With lightsabers.
It's a pop culture reference.
And then you mentioned how they look like the robots from Star Wars, like the droid ones, with like the
Yes.
all I can think of is like the smooth faced ones.
It was
I haven't
Dr.
watched a
Doom
lot of
from
Star Wars,
Marvel.
to be honest.
Yeah, Doctor Doom is what the mask looked like. That's what made them call them wolves. They said they maybe embellished it a little bit to make it more more wolf-like, but it was a Doctor Doom mask.
I figured it was like Doctor Doom, but a little more simple. Like, oh, shit. Here, hold on.
Well,
I'll
during
have
the
to look it
fight,
up. Okay, I see it now.
during the fight, a couple people die. One of the important ones is Benny. He ends up dying because Margaret Eisenhart was exploded, and her head landed next to him. If you remember, Margaret Eisenhart is the one who his dad works for. He works for her farm, and she
He
was
was,
kind of a second mother.
Yeah, the big man, basically the big farmer. Yeah,
So
the big farmer.
he flips
wife,
out.
right?
Yeah, he flips out, and sees her dead head in his lap, and then like runs, and then he gets targeted by a Sneech and blown to bits. So Benny, Margaret Eisenhart. I think there may have been one or two more.
But the other thing was that
Margaret-
someone almost saved Benny, and that I can't remember if it was Roland or if it was Jake. Almost saved Benny, but then something happened, and they couldn't get the last shot off.
Yes.
Margaret
Yeah,
Eisenhart.
it was Jake. He managed to get. I think there was two of them. He shot one, but he was too slow for the second one.
Margaret, Benny, and wasn't it one of the Jaffords?
Maybe.
It was the Jafford twins, right? It's the one that gashed his head open.
One of
What
the
was
Tavery
the twins? Tavery twins.
Yes.
The one that gashed his head open.
His ankle, but I don't think he died.
No.
No, I don't think he died. I felt bad, so bad for like Jake having to watch that shit.
Jake
I think he
shot.
was
I knew
ready,
it.
though.
I knew something was gonna happen because like even Roland knew, like intuitively, something's gonna happen. He's no longer going to be a child. He's gonna grow up real fast here soon. I think this is the moment.
So
Right.
Margaret dipped to get another plate. When she stood up again, a light stick swept off her head, setting her hair on fire as it tumbled into the ditch, and Benny's reaction was understandable. She had been almost a second mother to him. When the burning head landed beside him, he batted it aside and scrambled out of the ditch, blind with panic, howling in terror. At this point, Jake, two separate wolves threw the sneech at him. Jake shot one, but never had a chance at the other.
I enjoyed the push of the touch before the whole ordeal started.
Yep. Tells him to don't worry about it. Keep going with
Don't
the
you
plan.
dare! Don't you
First
fucking
time.
dare!
It's the first time that he sent something.
But the person that he was sending to received it a little backwards. So you could tell that there's something that they are getting closer. They're evolving, but at the same you're fine. But at the same time, they still have a long ways to go. Also, with there being not so many books coming out, I think that they're going to have to learn a lot really quick, and there's going to be a lot of shit going down.
Well,
because we're a lot closer to the tower.
After they mow the wolves down pretty much there at the end, they lose a few. Someone else appears, takes control of Susanna's body, and is gone. Boom. This is like
immediately when she started talking her language.
Yep, this is like our seed.
changed.
There was a part where she mentions, like, I'll even help you have the baby if you help me fight. So she makes she makes a deal with her.
Right. Sorry.
You're good.
That part gives me hope that she isn't gonna like die, or if she does, it won't be as bad as everybody thinks. Now, I don't know if she will or not. I don't predict that she does. I haven't read any farther, but I feel like because she made that deal, that just saved her ass without her realizing it.
That part spooked me because Mia knows she has to go along and survive this if she wants her chap to also survive. So all she had to do was sit back, right? But like the fact that Susanna reached out and offered and reached out with a deal, like, you know, I feel like she was holding back because she saw that. She's like, use this.
Well,
Yep, sure, why not?
She's been feeling her kind of knocking on the door for a while. And I think that, you know, Susanna, being as smart as she is, probably did the same thing, put two and two together, and is like, you know, we're in a situation here, and, you know, one of us could fuck the other up really badly. So
I still don't feel like Susanna got the best end of the deal there.
Well, she has to go along with it whether she likes it or not.
Everyone survived, so there's that. Roland notices almost immediately, like after the town is kind of there to help and everyone's gathered around, and he's like, gunslingers to me, they gotta find Susanna. He starts pointing. Where's she at? Oh, top of the fucking mountain in front of the cave.
She got a motor scooter to get there.
That was part of the epilogue. They come across a balloon, like a 3-wheel balloon-tired cart. I imagine like the fucking Mars rover, but not quite as like complex.
It was a damn zero turn. Come on now.
They make their way up. They get to a point where they have to make a choice. They also discuss a little bit. They find the book Salem's Lot on the bookshelf. They discuss that a little bit. They mentioned Stephen King. Jake remembers. Jake remembers that he saw the name before. And then we're kind of just left there.
I feel like it was interesting to like go through this part because it had me giggling just a little bit, because it's kind of funny when authors do that. They add in like a little bit of their own stuff, which is the reason why Stephen King does it. As you guys mentioned, like sometimes he has tidbits of other things. It's all almost like connected, like a
Everything's
web.
connected, yeah.
So it was just kind of funny being someone that hasn't read too many Stephen King books to read this and then know that there's going to be other stuff connected to it. It's interesting.
Everything is
It
eventual.
makes me excited to read more books.
Even just trying to find similarities between his works that have been over film and TV and stuff, It's noticeable. I've never read any other Stephen King book, and it's
I
pretty
want
clear
to
to me
read
the
1922.
ties.
I watched the movie. It was really weird. It was really good. Now
I
I
want
want
to watch it again.
It was.
That's
I
one with
like.
Thomas Jane.
I think so. Um,
1922.
1922.
It's like a
let's
period
see.
piece.
Yes.
Yes.
Thomas Jane. Yes, I like him. He's cool.
So,
we
Sorry.
beginning of the book, right?
visited.
The book ended.
Mhm.
What do
Well,
we think?
It sounds
Well-
like the end of a chapter.
We didn't discuss the afterward. Should we mention
I,
that?
I really hate when he ends books. Like, you just need to just wait until the next one starts, because it's like, okay, and the rest of that chapter is in like the next book. You're like, what the fuck? And then I couldn't imagine, like, right now I'm already waiting for a book that the other book had just finished and the new one came out just a couple weeks ago. Like, I'm already waiting for the next book after that one. I couldn't imagine reading this one, having to wait for the fucking next book to
Years.
come out.
That's how I feel right now, waiting for anything by George R. R. Martin.
Yeah, that hurts. And I know I'm just gonna have to reread all the Game of Thrones books.
Yeah,
if
you
I
like
wanna do this.
you just you know you're going to, but it's like, how do you plan on when to start?
Right.
You know, because you could end up right back where you are. You know, 2 years from
Even
now.
matter.
I like in the afterward he was talking about already writing chapters.
He had one book done, and the next one, like he said, in rough draft.
He was
Well,
talking
hasn't he
about
had
that
like
too.
this
Yeah.
thing in his mind for years and years and years? Now he's finally like getting it all out.
So we can talk about
All right.
timeline real fast here. Something just happened to Stephen King before this book. He was hit by a van. You guys remember this story?
Yes.
He was walking like he usually does. He says he takes walks middle of the morning to clear his head, or earlier in the evening to like put all of it away. And he said he had been walking pretty regularly, and he knew better. But on a certain spot, the ditch,
He's 7.
the shoulder gets really steep, and he has to walk on the road, and there's a curve. So it's kind of dangerous. He said his wife warns him about it all the time. But this particular time, someone came around, and they ended up hitting him. Knocked him into the ditch, broke his hip, broke a bunch of other bones. And then he was sitting in recovery and pretty much told himself, like, I could have died. I should probably
I'm reading
finish.
it right
I should
here,
probably finish
actually.
those stories.
William,
So that's pretty much what he did. Was after he got through with recovery, he just started cranking them out. He just started cranking the whole thing out.
okay, see, I didn't know that, but I mean, I was born in '92, so I was like 6 or 7. I wasn't exactly reading Stephen King at that age.
You were not?
so- no.
Lame.
I didn't get into King. My first King book was the entire audio series of Tales from the Night Shift or of the Night Shift. I don't remember until I was in my teens. So
I came out with blood-soaked copy and carry.
He had editor's notes too, right?
As far as this story goes, they've kind of led us to this point, and they built up to it amazingly. They didn't know if they were going to live or die, and it was going to be this epic battle of these mysterious things for many generations. And I felt that I'm hoping all of you have watched the last episode of Last of Us, but I thought it was very much like that season ender, where we had this battle that went pop, 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 pop. Something happens, off to the next season. And I feel very much like Wolves of the Calla, which I think one of our members says was one of their favorite books. It just becomes a piece of many, and we go. It doesn't stand on its own. That's
Yeah.
I
I'm just-
definitely agree with it. Doesn't stand on its own.
I
Definitely
agree
not.
with that,
You
but
need
it's,
context.
to me, the way I pictured the like where he was and like the people and like the whole setting of it, I fell in love with that part.
It
That's-
was.
That's
I
what
really
made
liked
me
Calla.
love it
I
so
really
much.
liked it.
Yes,
The
I
town
really
was
liked
nice.
it. I wouldn't have mind staying somewhere around there. I really love that place.
So
What would
This-
Steve need? Would it be a resolution of the Susanna, Mia birth?
Would it
Or
have been a
what,
more
what would wrap this
complicated-
together?
I think it would have been a longer
Villain?
book, maybe. Maybe so. These robots that just seem to be serving the system, or we'll say the beam, or I guess probably Thunderbolt or whatever.
All
his
things serve the
name
beam.
is.
Thunderfuck?
Yeah, is. But it just seemed like wrapped up in a nice little bow. We lost Benny. That's too bad. His dad has to live with that for the rest of his life.
I feel like Benny was just kind of like a predictable thing because like it kept leading up. They kept saying something like that poor. Sorry, Steve, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No,
Um,
it's okay
that
because I
poor
don't
Jake-
really know what I needed, other than like I said, it's kind of the way segmented TV and books go.
Well,
I
you know
don't
what?
remember. Does it actually say what they took the kids for? Because I don't remember that.
Yes,
Yes.
they took it.
Like
Yes.
The brain
it
stuff
says,
for zombie things and
Brain
That
food.
was
Thunderclap.
that was my next thing. Is
Right.
they feed the breakers. You
Okay.
for the first time have a little bit of explanation about the breakers.
Okay.
They feed the breakers who are telepath, telepathy,
Oh,
telekinesis.
And what
I get the whole
what
thing.
did-
I
They
see the whole
harvest
thing now.
something
They
from their
have.
brain and feed it to
Yes.
the breakers.
It's like the movie, the horrible movie, where they like set them in those chairs and like
Yeah,
a milking machine.
yeah.
Like the
Come on.
Matrix.
Kind of.
kind of.
Yeah,
See,
like that.
Kind of. And
it
then
all
when they're
made it
done with the
click.
process, they turn into those like giant runt people.
Yeah,
But that
that's
makes
what I
sense,
wasn't
though, that they
understanding
would
with
use
how they
twins.
got there.
They
but that
send them
makes so
back.
much
They
sense.
they send the
I
kids
see
back
what-
and they're ruined. And somehow, I'm not sure what it is, but they've found a way to make sure that everyone around there pretty much always has twins, so they can only take one and kind of use it as like a harvest. They've set up a people farm in this place
Wonder if
called the
it's in the
Calla,
rice.
and it's been
I
there
didn't
for
remember how they were.
tons of generations, and then only as far back as they can remember recently, the wolves have started showing up.
Every 27 years or some shit.
Oh.
I just want to say one more thing on
that's
Steve's
fine.
point. And it ties into an author's note on page 711. And that's that, yeah, it doesn't wrap up. It feels almost like episodic. Almost like I watched an episode of The Mandalorian, like season 1,
Yeah.
where they're
Yes.
going off, and now you know there's a next adventure. And then,
It's like,
then I remember this note. He's talking about like the Sergio Leone movies, Fistful of Dollars, all the spaghetti westerns, where like that's kind of the model. I'm like, okay, if I think about this as a spaghetti western, it's the bill, right? Like, yeah, I can
we've-
sleep with that.
We've also
And
realized the wolves are
name
just bit
for-
players.
Go ahead.
The wolves are not the ultimate bad guy.
Yes.
This
Well,
is just a bit battle on his way to the tower.
They're literally
Right.
just a machine.
Definitely.
They're just
but
a tool.
but it does
They're just-
lay the groundwork. There's a lot of questions now. First of all, who programmed them?
Mm-hmm.
Where are they going in Thunderclap?
North
Where's-
Central Positronics.
Where's Mia go?
Exactly. Can we backtrack a little bit and talk about what happened to Andy? I love that part.
You bastard!
Did you did you miss that meeting? Is that what it is?
Oh, yeah, I wasn't here for I don't know if I missed that part, but yeah, I love what happened to Andy. It was fucking
I kind of
hilarious.
forgot that too. I could just imagine Andy just being in like the pit of like an outhouse is what it kind of sounded like to me, and just thrashing about in shit trying to get out. And try
Yes. And
kill
then
people,
and then Eddie tells him to shut himself down.
Yeah.
So he's just gonna be like so much metal surrounded by shit.
I liked
Hey.
how he pulled out the 1999 thing.
Yeah, the double password.
It's actually the same year that you guys just mentioned that Stephen King had been hit by a vehicle. It's the same year as 1999 as well. I don't know if that ties into anything else with the books, but
That's good catch. That is the same year.
I got a question about Andy. Now that we've read the book, why does everyone think Andy was allowed to like announce the wolves were coming, but nothing else?
because I think he liked to watch him squirm.
Yeah.
I think because when they were
What
back
else
in the,
would he
the
do?
Dokken, when he
It's
was
not for Andy.
oh, But when he was back in the Dogan and what's his name got snippy with him, he's like, I'll handle it for everyone else. Do this, Andy. Do that, Andy. And he got really pissed off because he's sick and tired of people's shit, but he smiles and sucks it up so that he can do this shit. But I think that was kind of his version of revenge, was being able to just watch these people squirm and let them know that in 30 days, half of their children are going to be gone. I think that's what it was. Part of it was that, even though, yeah, he's a robot, he still had some sort of emotion of, like, being, like, spiteful and hateful.
He was
Also,
definitely
I
had feelings.
thought it was, like, yeah, I think it was, like, a little bit of a fuck you to them. Like, all right, now squirm, you assholes. Go ahead, keep calling me names and telling me to shut up and all this other stuff. I remember his rant, so that's all I could think of.
Well, like, I also remember when we were first introduced
Because
to
they
Andy
treat
that they
him
kind of
as
said stuff like, he does what he wants to do, and if you ask him to do something he doesn't want to do, he says, oh, my programming won't let me. Like that he doesn't do anything useful. Like he's not out, like, plowing fields or, planning infrastructure or creating technology for communication. He's not
He
helping,
can just
really.
tell us the weather and when.
Yeah, horoscopes.
Yeah. And
But
when the world's
process-
coming.
I think he was
mentioned
mainly
how
there
I
to
like
keep
that
tabs.
book so much. But another reason besides the setting that I love that book so much is these women with these plates, like motherfucking badasses. That really, like, I love to see empowered women in stories, especially ones written by men, and I really connect.
I think also the best
So
part about that
that's
is too
also-
is, like, he's given them not only, like, a victory here, but, like, the motivation to know that they could handle anything else, really, and that if the wolves somehow or whatever possible thing come back, they know that all they gotta do is throw their plates at them.
That makes me think of, like, whenever you read books and then there's, like, these poor helpless people, kind of like if you teach a man to fish, you know what I mean? That kind of moment. If you teach them to stand up for themselves, if you teach them to just, they're nothing. It's just a charade. It's just a charade, whatever, and stuff like that. Setting them up for success. So I feel like that's what gunslingers do, though, is they do shit like that, and then, like, their heroism is almost like a boost of confidence or whatever that the people that they save need to cover their own asses. I don't know.
For sure, empowers them that way they can fight for themselves.
I like that, yeah.
He solves the riddles so that the big bad boogeyman's really nothing more than just somebody in a mask. So
Yeah.
They're just robots. Don't have to worry about it no more. No more of a problem.
I do have to say that
Why is everybody always picking on me?
Hey,
I do have to say that the next book is also going to have a continuation style ending, because it is going to be
Damn it!
the next book will be the ending though. So
Yeah, but like it's because the journey never stops. How can
Yeah,
they
it's like
end
you got
something
this
that's
problem,
still...
and then this is the next problem, but
right. Otherwise,
we'll have to
he
find
would
out
have
in
he would have
season
ended
2.
the story at this book. Like there's
This one
there's
is
always
so
going to be
good, too.
more until we
Who's
get to the end.
Calla?
So
I think
Okay.
I remember.
Oh my gosh, this one is so
I
good.
think I remember back whenever you were reading it. I think well, I mean, it's got to happen. I just don't know if it's
I
this
do
book. or
love
next
the
I
book.
one
remember
we're
this
getting ready
one
to
just
read,
being
and
like-
one of the reasons that I love it so much, again, is the setting, and also one of my favorite characters of yours.
yes. I would also suggest some suggested reading and or watching, maybe Hearts in Atlantis. If you could read just the story, Everything's Eventual, in the Everything's Eventual collection. It's not very long, and I think those are the main ones. There might be one or two left. If you can find Little Sisters of Illyria, that one's good too.
I want to read that one too.
Yeah, we can find that one and do it.
We read Everything's Eventual, and that was pretty fun.
It was about 50 pages. Took us about 2 hours.
Was it? I thought it was like 70 or something. I don't know.
Kyle,
maybe-
I'm gonna strap your ass down for bed.
maybe the cliffhanger idea was not the way that it's not the way I should have framed it because that's expected. We've been on cliffhangers all the way along, knowing that we're going for the tower. I think it's more the idea of the battle seemed easy. They're like, oh, they have a
Yeah.
satellite dish on their head. Bing, bing, bing. Okay, we killed them all. Then it was just like, damn, that was easy.
And then Susanna disappeared, and that's the hard part.
Where was Lloyd?
See, like, I kind of feel like that was on purpose, Steve. Maybe, maybe that was the whole point. Is like, what else happened?
Well, and also, Sneak, juxtapose it with force fights. Like, Roland has grown up. He's a true gunslinger now, with 3 other true gunslingers with him.
You mean Jake or Eddie?
Yeah, but like we've seen fights against the big coffin hunters, right?
Mm-hmm.
And those were intense. Felt like.
Go, Zay.
Anything Eddie and Roland did to Balazar was sloppy.
Sloppy. This was clean. This was professional.
I mean,
Just-
Roland was like half dead at the time, wasn't he?
Well, also, like, Roland never had a doubt. He was always gung-ho, we can do this. You know, he just didn't know how. Like, as they were, like, finding out these details, that's how he worked out how. But he was never once worried about whether or not they're going to be able to pull this off.
Roland is a very either we do or we die. Like, we try, we
Yeah.
do it or we die.
That's his
And then
idea
we-
of Ka.
well, that's it. That's
I
it.
wouldn't be put here and this in my road if I couldn't handle doing this because my destiny lies beyond this part. So
It
he's
was.
Oh, I've seen this before. That helps.
It was just.
I do
like
feel
whenever he was
like
at the farmer town.
I feel like the battle part of it was built up as to be a huge climactic like part of the story, but I think that it was just more of a fetch quest by this town to get the gunslingers involved here.
I feel that it's.
I feel like it was
continuing.
another one of these traps that we've been continually coming on.
Yeah.
And it's maybe less about them killing or not killing the wolves and more about them killing or not killing 3 fucking weeks.
Yeah. Because
Or
they killed
killing-
all the wolves.
Yeah.
So yeah,
was
if
the
you
same
frame it
tactic
as a
as-
trap,
I feel like it's just a plot device to move them forward. Someone put something else in their way, and they're just like very methodical, very knock one pen down after the other, got to it. But like what was happening in the story is like the other stuff. It was the stuff with Susanna and Mia. It's the stuff with Jake
Farming
and
children.
the Dogen.
fucking a boy.
Farming twins.
Yeah, farming
Paramedics
twins
or-
and harvesting food for the breakers, and it's kind of a slow burn through this like whole deal, but we're reaching the end where things are all kind of coming together too. So
I think that's why Annie's allowed to announce the wolves. It's part of the farming process, right? Because then they all get in a tizzy, talk about where they're going to put their kids, and all those cameras just get to know where they're all rounded up.
I really enjoyed hearing an old character come back.
Father
Right,
Callahan
yeah.
joining the quartet. That's big too,
How long?
Like he was probably put here not because he was going to help these people get closer to God, but because he's taking that ball to Roland.
Oh no, there's people.
Or maybe the ball is the trap.
That's all spooky, man.
It is very creepy.
It almost killed Eddie.
I think the ball is the point of this whole story.
It's been the point of the last couple stories.
Wizard's Rainbow.
I have a theory.
Let's hear it.
Mia
It,
is. I think it's funny that you heard a name similar to Mia in their heads as they were getting closer to the door, right? Maria of the Coos was yelling out and stuff right before, right on all the stuff.
Yeah, they're at the doorway cave.
Yeah.
What if Mia is actually Rhea of the Coos
Yeah,
coming
the
back to
Coos.
fuck him over again? And
There's
it
one on
has
the
to do with
table.
the ball. Like,
She's in the ball. She's living in the ball, man.
she has
Possibly.
grabbed one of the balls again.
No, she's probably.
Any other
I feel
predictions?
like her spirit was in it only because if she's in the ball, it's because she spent so much time.
She was
with
in
that
the pink one.
ball.
With the pink that is
Yeah,
turned
the pink
black.
one, but they are all connected somehow. It's all part of the beam. It's all part of the whole thing.
All
Um,
things serve the beam.
Do I have any? I don't know. Not really. I have a feeling that shit's gonna go worse than we think with Susanna, but somehow in the end, that little deal that she made, of like I'll even help you give birth, thing is the only thing that's saving your ass. So that's my
Okay.
thing.
I think I want to know what's in that pouch in the
They do mention that as well.
bag.
Eddie feels a lump sewn into the side of the bag.
That's
says-
that's what it said.
I'll worry about it later. I got too much stuff to worry about right now.
Worry about that in the next book.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it also says that when Susanna finds it, or does it say Mia? It changes. There's a part when that part gets this it's almost like mentally, I thought, like in quotations.
I think you're going
It
forward.
says, I don't think so. I didn't read ahead. There's a part when they mention that little squishy thing. It mentions that later on Susanna will find it and it'll change everything for
Yeah.
in the future. But they don't mention anything more than that.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's in that part of the book when he.
They did bring that part up. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
You almost got censored.
Almost.
No, hold on.
She said
They-
she didn't read
they-
it earlier.
He definitely did leave that as kind of like breadcrumbs because there is going to be something to do with that thing in the bag lining. Predictions,
I mean,
Steve? Anything?
I'm kind of out of predictions at this point. I'm just kind of riding along till the next thing grabs me because a lot of the things I was thinking really haven't panned out, and I'm kind of flailing around, not sure where we're at.
Okay.
But
So Steve's-
sorry, just one thing we didn't talk about is Frank Muller. We got an explanation as to why he disappears at this point.
Yeah.
He had a rough
Sorry.
accident.
Sad.
I got a less prediction, more of like point that I hope gets more fulfilled or expanded on. And that's when Benny dies. I think that's sort of like death of Jake's childhood, right? Because that's what they're trying to tie together. It's here's my buddy, Rowan lets him go hang out and just live his life together, and then to have him die is kind of like the nail in the coffin there. So
yes,
what does that mean for Jake moving forward?
means
I'd
he's
like
allowed
to
to
see
smoke
that happen.
cigarettes.
Yeah, other than he's allowed to smoke cigarettes now.
If you think of all that, this is the time whenever Jake starts his path to the tower. This is like his Roland story back
Just proving.
back with Susan. Like he wasn't really a gunslinger until his
Yeah.
love. He found a love, and then he now lost it.
I'm going to be
Just
interested
like
to
he
keep
lost
an eye on those motivations
shit.
and see
You almost
what
wiped out.
changes. Yeah, I
I
got a
feel
bed
like
behind
things are gonna be a little more fast paced, and I'm really looking forward to that.
I think it's building up. Like from here on, it's going to be building up to the end of the book.
So the beginning of this book, there was a single word that he used to describe the book. This one was resistance. The next one is
Propulsion?
reproduction.
No. Well, the baby,
Wait, a song of Susanna's reproduction?
the old chap.
Spooky.
Okay.
He did dedicate the book to Frank Muller.
He
actually,
did.
As well.
He said to Frank Muller, who hears the voices in my head. So yeah, should we pick some chapters and move on to the next one?
Sounds like a plan.
Also, hello, Dr. Time. Good to see you.
doing pretty well.
Let me take a look here.
Been really enjoying Diablo 4 recently. It is in open beta this weekend.
I'm gonna play a little more after this.
I think he's almost
gotta
level
get in the
20.
clan.
Yeah,
I
I'll
just
get in
got
the
to level 20.
I'll get in the clan.
Oh, and it's cross-platform too.
Yeah.
The fuck is that part
Well-
of the damn?
Is it cross-platform?
Should be.
I don't
Can, does anybody remember what part that was that he was feeling around the stupid day?
I did see it probably would have been back when he was at one of the bookstore ones.
What, babe?
He was helping
What, babe?
Father Callaghan get with the what?
So this book is divided into stanzas.
Yeah, page 618.
Song. We should probably do it by stanza if we can. If it's not too long.
18.
I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking we do 1 through 4 to begin with. Puts us about 60 pages in. Not a huge chunk, but not tiny either.
Break into it.
Yeah, I can do 60 pages.
No, not it's the part that I had noticed.
Yeah, it was right up the caves, right?
Yeah, it was because I want to make sure that I got that part right.
Which part? I'm sorry.
It sounded right. Where it was talking about.
Feeling around in
Susanna.
the yeah. I just was trying to find the exact quote for it.
Page 618 is where Callahan talks about it. But he's had enough mysteries for one day already, he says.
Yep. Well, I'm looking up online and it still only says 86 pages to the book. My
Okay.
ass.
Page 620, the second last paragraph, Susanna's name is mentioned. But Eddie forgot about the object in the lining of the pink bag. It was Susanna who eventually found that, and when she did, she was no longer herself. Dun,
Exactly.
dun.
That's
Very good.
It. That's it. I was like, man, I know it was something.
Hello,
but
Dr.
it
Time. We
mentioned
are
that
about the
she-
end of
when
this
she
episode. We were
finds
just
it.
discussing
Not if she
this
finds
awesome
it,
book.
but when she finds it, shit changes. I just
Susanna
couldn't
was the
remember the
man in
exact quote
black
for it.
all along.
I know what it is, but I'm excited.
I just figured that was weird.
There's a picture in this book. It took them long enough to give us pictures.
I don't have our book.
Does this book have all those pictures in black and white?
Yeah, they're all in black and white.
Oh, great.
Each stanza has its own little icon.
Oh, yeah, okay. So we're doing 1 to 4?
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3, and we're stopping at 4.
Okay.
Do 1, 2, 3. Okay.
I'll put them up in the chat as well. Anything else you guys want to talk about from this book, from the reading tonight, or any previous other readings?
Do you feel like anyone else learned any lessons other than Jake?
I'm just wondering how long Callaghan's going to hang out with them. I'm excited to see how long he
Yeah. Okay.
kind of goes along with this whole thing. Is he going to end up just another bystander tossed aside when they're done? Like just another, alright, another step to the Black Tower. Bye, Father, fuck you, see ya. Or is he going to be a little more than just that?
Well,
I think he's
Callahan's
going to be a
faith-
shield.
Yeah. Callahan's faith kind of got in the way where he was almost going to fight with the two of them there, but on who they could kill and couldn't kill.
You know, that's a solid point. I was gonna say, you know, we have this idea of like the white, with the line of L, and the idea of like the red, with, like the bad guys, like the Crimson King, and then we have Father Callahan, who does provide some protection in a way, but it's outside of that game. It feels like.
I think he's
Yeah.
part of the white.
Probably.
I think anyone who honestly and truthfully like practices what they believe is right is part of the white. One of
I could see
the
that.
biggest things is like it's in almost every fucking book that he writes. It's stand and be true. And
Yeah,
and that's a constant kind of plot point for him is like you reach a place where like you either make your stand, or you fade away. Maybe.
I can see that. I guess my point was more towards like the schism with what to do with the baby or the chap, right?
We haven't even, yeah. That's a whole thing too, right?
And will
I
that
have no
come into
faith
play
that
more?
it's even a baby.
You don't think it's a
Because, like-
baby at all?
No. Well, there was a part that mentioned that like she heard another voice towards the end. She had heard another voice about being hungry. Wasn't hungry.
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 Yes. So I don't believe that it's something as simple as just a baby. I think it's something a little more devious than that.
It's now a
Turtle.
major
It's
motion
another-
picture.
It sounds so stupid.
Do you say that for each book?
Yep.
Every book. His book is now a major motion picture. I
Hey,
did
that
not know
would be
that.
great.
Matthew
Each book
McConaughey is in this book.
was. All right.
Yep. Yep. All right, guys. I think that's going to be good. We're going to move on and see what happens in Song of Susanna.
Might be about Susanna.
Maybe.
I think
Might
it might
have some
have
music.
some of the other guys in it too.
The song of Susanna makes me think of like when you're in labor, like you make a lot of noise. Like I don't think it's like an actual song, or is it with a P? Is it Psalm of Susanna?
Oh, it's song.
That song about. So like I don't know, maybe it'll have something to do with the whole. I don't know. Thing.
We'll find out.
Didn't the other Susanna sing that she was mad? I don't remember.
What?
No, she did. I'm too many books.
Okay. All right, guys. Say good night.
Good
Good
night.
night.
Night.